I'm Henk and I'm running for United States Senate. I'm here in California. It's 2022, and I'm a host of two great people today, two Green Party candidates, Veronika Fimbres, who is also in California and running for insurance commissioner, and Delilah Barrios, who is running for governor of the great state of Texas. Today is Mother's Day 2022, and hopefully in recording this video in some sort of message in a bottle 30 years from now, we are on a historic week because last week it was leaked that Roe v. Wade will be most likely overturned by the Supreme Court. The draft was released that was written by Alito. And so it is a time that for 50 years we worried about coming to pass is now at pass. This is why I think it's important to have two people that can speak to this that is not me, a white male. So happy Mother's Day, Veronika, and happy Mother's Day, Delilah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So first question right off the bat, both of you are in the health field, the medical field. So I want to first just ask some easier questions. One is do you believe that under health insurance, state health insurance, the procedure of abortion should be covered?
Absolutely.
Let's start with Delilah, and then we'll move over to Veronika. What do you think about that? Absolutely. Any other further questions? Any comments?
The whole premise of Roe versus Wade is that patient's privacy is more important. And it's the patient's privacy to have a procedure. They're the one consenting for these things. Nobody else should be involved. Nobody else should be paying attention. So yes, I think that all aspects of reproductive health need to be covered by health insurance.
Yes. So to summarize that is that abortion should be seen no differently than any other health medical procedure. Veronika, do you agree with that abortion should be treated equally and no differently than any other health procedure?
I agree, but I think that really the idea that white male politicians, old buzzards and crows that are about to drop dead, and they'd actually be doing the country a favor if they did, but I'm a nurse and I always want people to be healthy. But the idea that they would interfere in any personal procedure and something like an abortion is a personal. Women don't take that lightly. They don't make that decision lightly. Oh, I think I'll go get an abortion today. Joe made me pregnant. It's a whole different thing. And they don't understand that because they're white men and they don't.
Well, I had given this topic much thought before this morning about the illusion that abortion is a choice in the way that someone wants something. It is an alternative of two worse decisions, and that more likely, though I do not know, having an abortion for a woman would be equal to a traumatic event, an event that is emotionally harmful to the person, enjoyable in no way, and is a choice that is a last choice. Delilah?
Going back to the white men always have something to say about it. I'm always reminded that they're afforded better privacy rights than we are. You know what I'm saying? If a woman is pregnant, everybody knows that she's pregnant. It's visible. It's not something that you can hide. It's not something, I have 3 children that I chose to have, and I'm blessed for them to be in my life. But and I'll tell you, they're 5 years old, 13, and 15 years old, and all of them understand that having a baby could kill somebody. You could die, even if you want that child. And them restricting what they think is an abortion restricts every other process that would hurt a mother's life If I got pregnant again, I would not be able to carry to term. And if I was forced to carry that baby, I would probably die. And so you would be leaving 3 children orphans because of your draconian, hypocritical, bigoted views on what is right and wrong with women. I don't give
What?
a damn what people think is
What,
right
what,
or wrong for women. I need them to mind their damn business.
what you brought up is very important, and I'm going to turn over to Veronika. One of my favorite books of the past 10 years has been a book called The New Jim Crow. It is a really good book. It is a book that should introduce anybody into how racism is alive and well today, and that progress is most in part an illusion. And it also shows the facts of our history and how everything is connected today. Some people I hear are calling this the new Jane Crow. And that I say this because of what Delilah said, is that many women do die carrying a baby full term. I just heard that in the state of Alabama, a woman who is a person of color is 100 times more likely to die than a white woman carrying a child to full term. And most term, and as it is in the United States, Black people are I don't know how to say this well. It's worse for Black people, and that. And then finally, I know I'm saying a lot, and I want to give it to Veronika, that the idea of it being new Jane Crow is that it is one more level of fear against the Black community that they have to live in, of an oppression. Veronika, can you expand on that?
What I was going to say is this. There is a disparity of healthcare in Black and brown women when it comes to carrying a baby, delivering a baby, having symptoms that are abnormal. And when they talk to the doctor doesn't listen to them, doesn't care. And so women lose their lives still. And we are supposed to be the #1 industrialized nation, yet we don't have health care throughout the United States. And you're right, Mississippi and those other states, it's not as bad as in California, but it still exists in every state. There's disparity of healthcare, and Black and brown women are the ones that are dying. Their babies are dying. Their mortality and morbidity rates are higher than white women.
So there's an implied racism to repealing Roe v. Wade.
Yes, that it's all about that. They're scared. They wanna. I think they're doing it to buckle up and reassure themselves that these white women are going to have these babies so that they won't be the minority in the country. But it's too late. They're already that white men are the minority in the country, but they shouldn't be afraid, because if they treated people right, they wouldn't have anything to worry about. But this racism is still very prevalent and very insidious. And in healthcare, it needs to be abolished. So I'm all for a woman to have autonomy over her body. Nobody should be able to tell her, why do I need this white man at the place to go between my legs and tell me what I can do? Well, I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Yes. Okay. Delilah, as a person that's in Texas, Veronika and I have the luxury of living in California, or so they say that we are one of the more progressive states, where Texas, but we can just talk about this issue alone. When it comes to abortion and women's rights, it seems that Texas is on the other side of the pendulum, so to speak. How fearful are you that if this should come to pass, how fearful are you that Texas is going to jump all over this, as other states of this nature and start passing legislation that almost bans and makes any form of birth control almost illegal?
Yeah, I mean, we're not so much jumping on board as leading the carriage off the cliff. That's what people are doing here in Texas. Everybody's like, how do you feel about this, about Roe v. Wade being overturned? And I'm like, so as somebody who doesn't have access to abortion and reproductive services that I need already, like, SB 8 has been in effect for several months. And I'm honestly just a little pissed that people are just like, oh, let's pay attention now. Like, maybe you should have paid attention 6 months ago. Maybe you should have paid attention, you know what I'm saying,
Mm.
with with how we were forcing hysterectomies on women in ICE. Maybe you should have paid attention to the other human rights violations that are ongoing in this place that prides itself on systemic
For
oppression.
dark humor purposes only, I'm not paying attention because I don't have a uterus. Why would you expect me to pay attention?
Right. Well,
Well,
I don't know. Why would you expect to have any other rights that you're
I suppose
afforded?
that's about as ridiculous as the world is right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I listen. I People don't care until they have to. And
Yeah.
I know that. And so at this point I'm like, well, I'm glad you're paying attention now. That's helpful. But I mean, if we're talking about sexism and things like that, any male could go and get a vasectomy, and it pretty quickly. Nobody would question. You could pay out of pocket cash even. You wouldn't even need to have health insurance to do it.
But they
But
are
women are
covered
not
under health
afforded.
insurance.
What's that?
They are covered under health insurance.
Covered.
Yes.
I
That's
mean,
covered, and so is Viagra. Viagra's covered under health insurance for them to that have
Just pointing out
function.
one more ridiculous more sexism embedded in our nation.
that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fact. A lot of people are unaware of this fact because they don't have to put themselves in those positions. But every time I talk to somebody who's like trying to derail the conversation about abortion to being about pro-life, like, where's the outrage or consideration for, we have like 70% poverty rate with children. I mean, it's high. It's bad. How are you trying to say, I mean, are you going to open up your doors to the kids who were forced birthed and not adopted and not wanted? Like, nobody cares about human life. I mean, if they did, we wouldn't be, this isn't even a fair democratic world that we live in, And if you don't know that, that's nice for you.
Right.
They only
Yes,
care about
Veronika?
the fetus. They only care about the fetus, the concept
True.
of the fetus. Once a child is born, they don't give a damn. They didn't pass any of those laws that could have taken care and given kids pre-K, nursery school, and all the other things that kids need. They don't give a damn. They just want to make sure that they can control a woman's body and her ability to have kids. And if they're white women, they want to make sure that they're shoring up the white race so that we can. I mean, that's just crazy. But they really want to do it for the people of color. They really want to monitor that. And just like Delilah said about doing hysterectomies and surprising them, I went in for one thing and DNC, and I came out with no uterus. I mean, you hear complaints from women all the time that they weren't even expecting some of the things that happened to them, and they were done just because they were of color. That is not okay. That is not okay. And that's why I think that Texas would benefit greatly to have Delilah as the governor. Because those Republicans don't give a damn about the people. It's all about money and control, and that stuff that he's doing, trying to upstage Ron DeSantis, your governor, current governor, and Beto. He's trying, but he's a corporate Democrat, and you cannot have corporate people in office and expect them to do anything about it. You need to have people that are ground level, have their feet on the ground, have their ear to the people, and that are where the people are. That's why I like that Henk came up with the thing about we're the paycheck to paycheck party, because we are. We're working for our paychecks just like everybody else. We are the real people. And if you want to see transformative change in politics, you need to vote green. I mean, you can't. That's why I'm running. They said, "Oh, honey, I'll support you, but you're going to have to be a Democrat." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't care what kind of support you trying to offer me, because your views and my views are not the same, because I'm people-centric. I'm Californian-centric. I'm citizen-centric first. I care about the people. I don't give I don't want to say that kind of language, but I don't give a damn about.
You're free to use the shit word.
I don't give a damn about those people that are doing this to our society, because it is wrong. There's no other way around it.
Yes. Well, this is a very difficult topic for me to discuss. I don't want, I really fear of talking about something that would spark emotions that I want thinking about my past and how it's affected mine. And I don't really want it to be a traumatic event for anybody. I do want to keep the conversation light as possible, as possible. But I know that all of us, all three of us, on a professional level, are must have learned something about what the difference between what you study in college or read the newspaper and what is the reality of being a healthcare provider in a clinic or a hospital setting. So let's start with Veronika, and then hopefully Delilah can tell me about what those lessons are that you learn working in a hospital and why Roe v. Wade is so important. Veronika.
I've been a nurse for, I think it'll be 40 years in August. And so I've seen the nursing profession change. And I have experienced even discrimination on the floor. How did you get to be supervisor? I'm like, duh, I'm a nurse and I'm qualified to be supervisor. And that's what I do. I had an experience in college. I'd like to share this with you and everyone when we're talking about abortion. I worked at Chico Feminist Health Center when I was in college in 1980 through 84. Chico was a famous, notorious school, famous for date rapes, famous for, I think one of the fraternities next door to me made Penthouse magazine as one of the worst fraternities. So girls are pregnant all the time from these guys and being set up to be raped and everything else horrible, despicable. So I worked in this women's clinic. Being a trans woman, I didn't have a uterus or a cervix to look at. And they were saying, Veronika, do you want to see your cervix? I said, well, I guess I'd like to, but since I didn't have one, I couldn't show one. So I told my roommate and she said, well, you can look at mine. So I got a vaginal speculum and I looked at her cervix and everything and saw her changes in it and everything. So that was my medical study. I had a patient that came and the girl was nervous, beautiful girl. She was nervous and fidgety. And she said, I'm waiting for my boyfriend who never came. So she was there to have an abortion by herself. I said, I'm sorry, do you want me to be with you? I will be with you the entire time. She said, will you please? I'm so afraid. And so I went with her. And I didn't know how I felt about abortion, actually see the procedure. It was a vacuum extraction. And it was different. But I remember her holding my hand and clutching it so tight because she was so afraid. But she knew that if she tried to carry that baby, it would destroy her career and her education. It would change her life, but she wasn't ready for that. She wasn't ready to have children. And so she had an abortion. I respected her for that. I stayed with her through the entire process, and the tears in her eyes and the gratitude that she showed me for just being there with her was important. And I've never forgotten that. That impressed me. That kind of a thought process that went into having an abortion, to sit there and go through the process and actually have it, that she considered her options. And abortion was the best option for her. And so I respected that. I'm passing it on to Delilah.
Well, I want to share two perspectives for this specifically. So pregnancy prevention methods have been a part of Indigenous culture forever. Most First Nations have some method of prevention for pregnancy. So just for context, you understand how essential it is to have a functioning society where that is an option. Without it, we won't have a very functional society, at least not one where everybody is cared for. So just, I feel like everybody's like, this is a new thing. It isn't. It's not. People have been controlled since the inception of the Constitution. So, please join us as far as like liberation, trying to get our rights restored and our freedoms in alignment with the way the world should be. I hate so much people sharing how they feel about other people's decisions that they have to make, especially if it's in the light of that makes me feel bad. Something that doesn't even involve me. It makes me feel bad to imagine this person that may never come to be, that isn't even a person yet. It's really a clump of cells. I feel bad thinking about that imaginary thing, but I don't feel bad ignoring these children who are hungry, or ignoring these babies who are being born with microplastics in their blood, or the kids in Vietnam who have generations of malformation and disease from the things that we have done. It's very hypocritical, to say the least. I get very upset. I get very sarcastic. I'm like, I love talking to the OB-GYN surgeons that I work with about how bigots control people's bodies, because it makes us all so goddamn mad that we're in this situation. I heard there's this Democrat, Wendy Davis, I think, maybe that's her name, I can't remember, and she's like being hailed as this abortion rights queen, right? She sued to kick Greens off the ballot, by the way, which is her, that's what kind of a good person she is. But she made this big deal about not donating to abortion funds anymore until the Texas decides to make the law more clear, so that she doesn't risk her financial security. And that made me so mad, because I work with a lot of people who don't care what the laws are, who would never sell out a patient for whatever they needed to do, and would always provide for them no matter what. And to hear these people being lauded as heroes, and they're just functional cowards, don't even have the type of spine that it would take to help somebody even explain that procedure to someone, or explain, you know what I mean, or be unbiased. Like, this is your decision, it's your body, you can do whatever the hell you need to with your body. That is not a revolutionary statement. That should be the norm, and it's irritating and frustrating and exhausting that it isn't. Most people don't even know anything about abortion. Most people think that a pregnancy is 9 months and it's 10. Most people think, that a fetus can feel pain, and they've never read any journals or studies on it at all. And it's just this like veiled victimhood for a life that they wouldn't care about, even if it was here. So I just, my perspective as a healthcare worker is that there should be no discrimination in what a patient needs. Everybody who's upset with the abortion rights fiasco down here is as equally upset about the trans legislation aimed at targeting people, again, with healthcare needs. And that's just one tool at their disposal to take advantage of us. And if you weren't concerned before, I'm glad you are now, is all I have to say to people, because this has been a reality for people in Texas for a while. And ever since I was young, it's been this topic of debate. And everybody who's debating doesn't have any skin in it. They don't have any risk to take. And I'm tired of hearing from them.
Well, I think we covered the topic pretty well. I want to say, I want to keep it short. Veronika, thank you, and please vote for Veronika Fimbres on June 7th.
I'd vote for you.
5 weeks for insurance commissioner. And Delilah, your election is November 3rd or
8th.
what? November 8th. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
please do, if you live in Texas, please do vote for Delilah Barrios for governor. I would say my final thought is I just feel sorry for anybody, not sorry. I feel sad for anybody that needs to make this kind of decision. And in 30 seconds or less, as somebody that I've had several times to help people die of cancer, and I was the person that had to make the decision to stop feeding them, let them die. It was a decision that was clear but haunted me for a long time. when I think of the choice that a woman has to make, I just feel bad that she has to make that decision. That it is not a decision whether there is right or wrong, and to be in that place, it can be often traumatizing and painful, and I feel bad that they have to make that decision. I think most of the times it is a failure of our society that a woman is making that decision. Like I said, this topic very much angers me. But happy Mother's Day to all women and all mothers out there. Please do vote for Green Party, because we don't want to sell you down the road. Anything else? 1 minute.
We won't sell you down the road because we care about you. If you vote for Green Party candidates, you'll be voting for yourself, because we are you. And so we urge you to support us, all of us. We all care about you, and we're genuine. None of this is placated or pretense or anything else. We're the real deal. So come on with it. Come on with those votes and that cash.
No, that's a great point. Yeah. Not only do we ask for your support, please know that we're supporting of you. So we demand human rights, and we're going to be the loudest ones about that. So thanks so much. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. I appreciate your time.
All right.